It's time to talk about what you could consider the battle for the heart of gaming. Because I think we see the heart of gaming being eroded as time goes on, right? We see all the bullshit that happens. We can have all these discussions about, oh, this is predatory, that's predatory, but there's the other discussion of, guess what? It's just not fun and it's not good for us, the people who play video games. And we often hear things from developers, from media, from press. Today, it goes straight to the very top, to one of the most powerful and influential people in this industry. It is none other than CEO of Unity. Unity is one of the largest game engines. The big two. You have Unity, you have Unreal. John Riccitiello is this man. He previously was the CEO of Electronic Arts. And that does kind of include in and around the time where, well, let's just say, they got a few fun little rewards for not being particularly popular. So when this man calls the sorts of people who make the games that we want to make, quote, effing idiots, that actually matters. Because Unity's not just about building games. Unity is also deeply ingrained with the likes of monetization. As I think is quite well pointed out here. Do you really want to build your game without any monetization features like a fucking idiot? Yes, I am one. And here's a crazy thing. This is new data that came out from the analytics firm Sensor Tower. Now, I know this particular one is for mobile, that's not material to today's discussion, but it is Riot Games. Now, Riot Games generally are not particularly evil with their microtransactions. They're not pulling a Diablo Immortal, they're not doing gacha games. In 16 months, they've got 800 and something million. That's barely any money compared to what gacha can pull in on a daily basis, compared to what FIFA Ultimate Team from Electronic Arts is able to pull in. So, when the head of it, Unity, is calling people effing idiots, I think you know how some of the biggest players in the industry want to move things. And of course, in the case of Unity, it's where their shareholders want things to go. Because Unity doesn't just make some money via, you buying a license. No, there's the license fees for your games. The ongoing money they make if you are making money via their ads platform. Because this one runs deep. And so too will your benefits from this. Now, would you like to save money, access more content, and be more secure? Because if you do, today's sponsor, nordvpn.com/Bellular News, does just that. And it's available at my link with an exclusive deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, Nord, it's a VPN. It lets you browse the web from anywhere, as if you're anywhere. And that lets you do a lot. I regularly use it to access region-restricted content on the hellscape that is streaming services. And recently, via the excellent Tom Scott, I learned that you can even use NordVPN to avoid being price gouged by car rental companies. It saved him hundreds of pounds. They also, of course, keep you private. Your ISP will not know what sites you use, so they can't sell your browsing data to advertisers, nor can they prioritize some of the types of traffic that you use over others. And they've got other great security products too, like NordPass that makes passwords secure. Of course, that's all in the app and browser extension that are super easy to use, and you can get the exclusive offer at nordvpn.com/Bellular News with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So thanks to them for supporting the team, and with that said, let's get back to the news. Welcome back. So the journey that took John to saying this starts off with a merger. This is a merger that a lot of us are deeply uncomfortable with. And remember, my company is making our game in Unity. Unity is, for many indies, the go-to engine. So this shit matters. On the 12th of July, they announced their merger. It's a merger with ironSource. You probably haven't heard of them, but wow, are you about to learn how much this just stinks. This is valued at $4.4 billion in an all-stock deal, and it was designed to bring the advertising technology and experience of ironSource to Unity. So, why is John calling people idiots? This has got something to do with it. Of course, Unity has in fact been doing quite a lot of M&A activity, SyncSetch, Weta Digital, yeah, the Peter Jackson one, Ziva Dynamics, Parsec. Interesting. And they say that ironSource's suite of tools and solutions provide the majority of the world's top games and many non-gaming apps with monetization, marketing, analytics, and discovery capabilities, yada, 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 yada. Not the most exciting thing, but here's the thing. Unity actually generates, quote, more than half of its revenue with its Operate Solutions division, which provides ad placement and the like. Follow the money. And as much as there are frustrating things that happen from Epic Games, I don't know. This stinks more. And there's a reason why a lot of Unity developers are frankly furious, and they are fed up with what Unity is doing, because this is just the first in a long line of bullshit, frankly. Because this press statement makes it really, really damn clear. What if that process was no longer first create, then monetize? Okay, so what if we decided to actually not do first create, then monetized for our game? Oh, that means that suddenly we're slicing our game up into bits and doing bullshit with you. Well, maybe we're putting ads in it. Maybe it's a gacha game somehow, but that's the bullshit that they want. What if creators had an engine for live games that by default enabled them to gain early indicators of success for their games through user acquisition of their prototype, and gave them a feedback loop to improve their games based on real player interactions as early in the process as possible? Okay, yeah, user testing, that's good shit. But if you remember the video that we just put up, I know not many of you watched it, but seriously, it is about important shit, and that shit stinks. That bad stuff in that video, they now want that to be more integrated into the engine that is perhaps making the majority of indie games that are there, and many AAAs as well. So they say Unity Iron Source's combined offerings will uniquely position the combined company as blah blah blah, the only game creation and growth platform for creators. And as a part of this big old media tour, John Riccitiello and the SVP and General Manager of Unity Create did an interview with Pocket Gamer. Pocket Gamer, big players in, of course, that side of the industry, and when they're you're thinking about, oh, you're Unity, you want to make some money, yeah, Pocket Gamer, mobile, that is the place to go. John Riccitiello, devs who shun monetization are pure, brilliant, and fucking idiots. Now, John will have some choice words for this publication that we will get to soon. So he was speaking with the editor of Pocket Gamer about this. It's basically regarding developers who are not comfortable around integrating monetization into the game development pipeline at the early stages. And just so you know how to parse that, that means game developers who make games for you and me. The sorts of games we want to play. And he says that, oh, Ferrari and some high-end car manufacturers still use clay and carving knives. It's a very small portion of the industry that works that way, and some of those people are my favorite in the world to fight with. They're the most beautiful and pure, brilliant people. They're also some of the biggest fucking idiots. Well, actually, John, I think Ferrari do pretty well for themselves. And are you basically just saying that we should have mass commoditized piece of shit games? You saying we should have junk food, fast food games? Is that not what we think when every single game just has you being a friggin' Plinketto ball falling down the thing, just going into some form of MTX? Is that really it, John? Well, of course that's what John wants, because he's, of course, the CEO of Unity, and that's where they're going to be getting their money from. That's the plan. That's why they did this merger. He says, he's been in the gaming industry longer than most anybody, getting to the grey hair and all that. And yes, fair enough, he has been there for a while. And he does say that the idea of developers making a game and just, away it goes. He says that is, it's a philosophy baked into a lot of the art forms and the medium. It's something he's respectful of. He knows the dedication. He knows the care. But this industry divides people between those who still hold that philosophy and those who massively embrace how to figure out what makes a successful product. Successful product may not be a good game. Stake, the crypto gambling platform, successful product. Bad thing for planet Earth. Bad thing for this planet and the people who live on it. Therefore, fuck it. And that's the kind of shit that they're going to want. What does your favorite game look like if it is developed with monetization from the very, very, very beginning? In the more deep way that these guys are going to want, considering that so much of this stuff is going on mobile. Does it look more like Diablo Immortal, or does it look less like Diablo Immortal? Obviously, it looks more like Diablo Immortal. And here's something I love. Now, I think you should be offended by this, because honestly, I felt offended by this. I think it offends our intelligence. I've seen great games fail because they tuned their compulsion loop to 2 minutes when it should have been an hour. Sometimes you wouldn't even notice the product difference between a massive success and a tremendous fail, but for this tuning and what it does to attrition rate, there isn't a developer on the planet who wouldn't want that knowledge. In a way, yeah. But if this is in the context of monetization first, then what we basically have is the phenomenon of mobile games that decide to basically just continually edge their customer on to the next spend, and the next spend, and the next spend. So effectively, developers who make games that we love, who are more concerned with craft than monetization, are reduced to, as he puts it, a minority. The old crowd, the people who are going to just die off and not exist anymore. And, you know, in spite of them being brilliant, they're still fucking idiots. And what's concerning, especially about how he seems to think of the customers, that it's all about these tightly developed compulsion loops that make games a success. That's a keyword for use your brain psychology against you, as I would put it. Best games are just brilliant, and yeah, they will fine-tune to have their second-to-second, minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour gameplay to be good. Yes, you do want that to be fine-tuned, but in this context, ultimately it means that Unity understands what sorts of things actually do convert. And I think, as you can imagine, yeah, there you go, man, fuck Unity. That is from the developer of Celeste and Towerfall. Pretty major person in the indie scene, I think we could all agree. And then there's that Unity seems to be moving away from the part of the games market that actually got them going, because Unity always used to be about making it more democratized. More people can access gaming because, oh, you can just get Unity for free and it's, you know, super good licensing terms and all of that stuff. So here's the sad thing. They actually announced a playable game sample project called Gagaia. Now, Gagaia would be made using their own tools, and you could basically download it, and you could basically use it as a living resource to, to start and to just continue through game development. These things are awesome, especially for a newer person to actually go in, dissect the project, learn some stuff about the engine, all of that. And a lot of people looked at this and thought, oh, look at that. They are refocusing on core game development because people had seen the ad stuff and a few other things and Unity chasing the other markets the game engines could be used for. And I think the original crowd who really got behind that engine in the early days started to feel a bit left out. And a lot of you could say, well, just go to Unreal. Well, there are differences with Unreal. I mean, one thing, Unity and C#, I think that's going to be a good bit more accessible than kind of your equivalent over in some parts of Unreal land. And also, yes, there are things that Unreal does significantly better than Unity. There's also things that Unity does better than Unreal. They are two different products after all. But the sad thing is, just shortly later, they cancelled it. Yeah. They cancelled it. And of course, this was following concerns about the project when Unity announced a 4% reduction in their staff without any warning, which then is quite funny because then, of course, the Iron Source merger does come in. I suppose it was an all stock-based deal, but I think you can understand that it's not a pretty good look for people who make Unity or use Unity to make, real games. Not thinly veiled cash extraction machines. And I think this puts it well. Wait, what? Unity is merging with the company best known for its malware delivery system, so popular that it has its own entry in VirusTotal, was blacklisted on Windows by Microsoft, and was used to spread fake Flash installers through the Equifax site. Yeah. Of course, then John decides to just say, clickbait, out of context. Deeply sorry if what I said offended any game dev. Absolutely love the people that make games. Creative, hard work. And if you were to steelman his position, you could say it's a term of endearment. Like, that person, they're brilliant, they're creative, they work so hard. Oh, such a fucking idiot. And that can almost be a term of endearment. It's like they're an idiot because they're doing it the hard way, but it's implicitly virtuous that they are doing it the hard way. I think that's how you could steelman what John said there. But given the broader context about monetization, I don't really feel that holds water as much. So, yeah, Riccatello does throw Pocket Gamer under the bus. So let's see. How did he? Because devs who shun monetization are pure, brilliant, and fucking idiots. That's an accurate summary of what he said. Those are three things that he said about them, and he said that all, very short order. So, yeah. And I think something put well by Freya here is, John, I hope you mean it. Unity's roots are in working with indie devs, so the pivot to the automotive industry and film, which, yep, that's one of the ways that Unity has moved. Of course, Unreal Engine has also moved into, I know at least, the film world. A lot of things, like say if you've enjoyed The Mandalorian, well, Unreal Engine runs that. Indeed, soon, we plan to be using Unreal Engine to do visual effects work. Yeah, it's awesome for that, and it makes sense that these engines are moving into these places because the technology developed for video games has got awesome, great uses outside of the video games context. I mean, hey, there's shit made for NASA that then trickles down to the rest of us. It's not a perfect example, but you get my point. But the focus on exploitative money making, because I think, well, that's how a lot of that goes, and shutting down Gagaia and firing everyone involved doesn't exactly feel great to us. And this is when John kind of realizes, oh shit, I'm the CEO of an engine best known for indie game development. At least best known by customers, who generally won't be that aware of the automotive and, film uses. So, of course, he does what all people do when they need to say sorry. They take a screenshot and they send a tweet. He says, I want to talk about what I said in the interview in my follow-up tweet. I'm going to start with an apology. My word choice was crude. I'm sorry. I'm listening. I will do better. What I can do, perhaps, is provide more on what I was thinking when I did the interview. What I would have said if I had taken greater care. First, I have great respect for game developers. The work they do is amazing. Their creativity can be incredible, whether on AAA, console, mobile, or indie game, designed to be played by millions, or a creative project, a game made for the sheer joy of it. Second, one thing I have seen is that most game devs work incredibly hard and want people to play their game, to enjoy it, and when appropriate for players, to engage deeply. For the game devs I have worked most closely with, there is an anxiety about whether players will fall in love with their game or appreciate all the work and love that went into making it. That's absolutely true, and you should absolutely test your game. Test your game with its audience. We use a platform that was created by actually friends with ours who are in the same startup incubator as us, called Testify, and their stuff's awesome. There's other ways to do QA, other ways to do user testing. We released a demo on Steam. We got fantastic feedback from that. It was almost universally positive in the actual game experience itself, which I think to us shows that if we actually put our game towards its target market, people who will generally like that kind of thing, it seems like they'll think it's a pretty damn good entry in that. And that is brilliant news for us and relieved a lot of that anxiety. But, I mean, that's pretty different from how things were framed initially in that discussion of ironSource and what they're providing. Third, sometimes all a game developer wants is to have a handful of friends enjoy the game. Art for art's sake, art for friends. Others want player dollars to buy the game or game items so they can make a living. Both of these motivations are noble. See, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, you want to get money back from the thing that you're making. Now, noble. Okay, well, noble, that starts to get quite interesting, because if your game is full of predatory monetization, right, if it's got Diablo Immortal-like things, okay, so is it a noble thing to provide income for the people in your company? Yes, it is, absolutely. I mean, more importantly, it is just good business. It's the thing that you should be bloody well doing. But game items? Because you can sell game items in a noble way. I think most of what Riot Games does is actually fair enough. What Blizzard, still does, even though they don't support the game anymore, with Heroes of the Storm, right? It's like, that's fine. Those are good examples of free-to-play. And as I covered at the very top of the video, they definitely do not convert as well as Gacha, or I'm sure as well as Immortal will. So that's kind of rough, or at least on a per-user basis. So I don't know. In-game items, that depends on how noble it is. I'm happy to buy your DLC. You start doing loot boxes that have got player power in them, well, that's not noble anymore, because you're preying on the same psychological motivation that, that gambling is kind of rooted on. And then I suppose I do get that feeling of, right, so, John, are you okay if somebody uses ironSource to finally manipulate their loot boxes, to finally tune their loot boxes? Get the most money out of people before they notice? I mean, I don't know, man. That's not particularly noble to me. Fourth, what I was trying to say and clearly failed at saying is that there are better ways for game developers to get an early read on what players think of their game, to learn from that feedback, and if the developer wants, to adjust the game based on that feedback. It's a choice to listen and act, or just to listen. Again, both very valid choices. If I'd been smarter in my words, I would have said just this. We are working to provide developers with tools so they can better understand what their players think, and it is up to them to act or not based on this feedback. Cool. That definitely would have been a more okay statement. I think there's still people who then look at, look at where the revenue is coming through, and they think, well, okay, if we follow the money, is there a conflict of interest? Are you, because of where the money is, and you're a big publicly traded company, so you feel like you really do have to do things to get that stock up? Well, are you gonna really focus on the scroungy little indies, or are you gonna focus on the stuff that's bringing in the ad bucks? I mean, I don't know, but I think when the system works as intended, it's probably not good for the indie games. So, he clearly regrets this. That's fair. He does. I genuinely really do think that he does, especially because it's bad PR. He has to come into work in the morning, and in his head will be the knowledge that all of his colleagues are thinking, John, I used Twitter last night. I saw what they said about you and us. This feels bad. So it's a massive PR headache for the company. It also is, a real shitty thing, for his peers. And he is clearly expressing that there's a lot of use cases for Unity, that not all of them are profit-driven. That's absolutely true. I think there is just a lot of discontent within parts of the developer community in Unity. And with Kagaya going, the job cuts, Iron Source, a lot of people are worried. Now, it is tricky because if you look at like the Godot, is it Godot? Like that's an engine. There are other engines out there, but are they going to be as fully featured? Are they going to have as robust support? Perhaps not. There actually are not that many mega robust production ready engines out there, and with Unity, I mean, people have been developing in Unity for years, so there is the skill, there is the talent. 2021, they claimed to have 61% of the industry. I just wonder where that's going to go. The start was all about democratizing game development, and they have done a really great job at that. I don't know, though. When the future comes, and it's about money, and now they're a publicly traded company, and we know what sort of thing that can mean. I suppose it makes us all a bit worried, doesn't it? And I suppose it's tricky as developers, too. I mean, a lot of the custom technology, the custom things that we have made to make our pipeline be successful, they're on the Unity engine. And it's going to be like that for the developers of many of the games that you play. Unity still is going to make a lot of sense for us. Unreal just does not make sense for the sorts of games that we'll be making in the future. But certainly you look at this and you think, wow, we feel like you are one of the only decent production-ready options for us, and it certainly makes it feel pretty shitty when this stuff goes on, and when the money is more going towards the likes of Iron Source. So, let me know what you think about this. If you're a game developer too, let me know what the thoughts have been at your studio. We'd love to hear. Of course, if you want to support us and also get great deal, some handy stuff, could even save you some dollar, check out Nord. Thanks to Nord for sponsoring today's video. Sponsors really do help to make this whole shindig so much more possible. Okay, let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed this. See you next time.